LeBron.
Yes.
When did you first realize that he wasn't returning to Cleveland, and how did you respond to it?
Well, I thought, LeBron's always looking for a new challenge. He's always looking for a new opportunity. And, with what he's doing on the court and off the court, I think he wanted to see how he could impact another team, and LA was the right fit for him. But I didn't really know it till I kind of had a feel for it towards, I would say free agency. But I actually got the news when I was in New York, looked at my phone and thought, okay, well, he's off to the Lakers. I mentioned I wished him the best. I texted him, told him I loved him. And then we go from there. So it's a new opportunity with the Cavs, and we're going to really have to step up. But we have veteran guys, new younger players too that are going to be able to help us. But it's going to be interesting to see where this goes.
As he goes off, and I know that you guys hung out recently for your birthday, so
Right.
obviously everything is good there. As he goes off, how would you describe what it was like to play with him? You were a guy, and we've talked about this on this show and a million different shows forever. You were a guy who was the central focus of a
Right.
team for a long time in the NBA. Now you're playing with a guy who's, one of the handful of greatest players of all time. What was it like for you all this time trying to figure out exactly the right way to impact that team and try and help it win, which you did win a championship?
Yeah, I think when you're playing with two guys that really dominate the ball, you have to find ways to sacrifice and fit into where you are in the offense, and defensively learn where you can help on that end as well. So it's a never-ending, always evolving process. But now with LeBron gone, I think we'll see a lot of those sets that were in Minnesota, while also the things that Ty Lue has implemented over the last few years.
Obviously, everyone's goal in the NBA right now is to try and find a way to catch up to Golden State, and they beat
Right.
you guys in the finals as you meet 4 consecutive years. It might sound like oversimplification, but what beats them? What is it that has to happen for a team to beat
Well, it's
them?
easier said than done. I mean, they're extremely well coached. They always have depth on the bench, but as you mentioned, 5 All-Stars, Defensive Player of the Year, MVPs, a guy like Klay Thompson that has in the gym range, and you can tell every summer he's adding something to his game. So a lot of players that are well respected around the league, but you almost have to mix it up, play different lineups. But it's going to be a tough team to beat for many years moving forward, because
See, he doesn't believe me. They've ruined basketball. I've been telling you this for the longest time. They've ruined basketball.
But they're another team that's expected to win every single year, and you see it with their talent level. And it can be not only their starting 5, but who they're able to implement. You've seen Andre Iguodala, you've seen Sean Livingston, you've seen a number of big guys that they've added every single year that aren't talked about that much, but guys that do things that don't show up in the stat sheet, but that's just who they are and their identity.
I talk a lot about you being an underappreciated all-star in the league. Now that you're playing in the Eastern Conference, no LeBron James, because he basically had a rite of passage regardless to where he was playing to actually win that conference. How enthusiastic are you to regain your position as one of the top players in the game?
I'm very excited. I'm going to be handling the ball a lot more. I'm going to be touching the ball a lot more. And I always said, whether LeBron or Kyrie were out of the game, I could catch that ball on the elbow. I can handle it a little bit in the half-court transition, duck in smaller players, take advantage of smaller players. So I think I don't necessarily even have to shoot the ball in order to be effective. I think my passing is oftentimes overlooked, and that's something that I'll try to get back to on the back cuts, dribble handoffs, pick and pops, pick and rolls, just mixing up as much as I can. And as you mentioned, implement that leadership quality as well.
And also overlooked sometimes, defensive prowess. Maybe the great defensive stop in the NBA Finals a couple of years ago. I know, Jalen, you have loved that you talk about this play all the time.
Absolutely. Kevin Love, please talk them through this play, how you locking down Steph, the only unanimous MVP in the history of the league.
You know what? It's funny. I kept my feet down, was just making sure I had my hand up to contest. More often than not, Steph makes that. We've seen so many times where he's led the league in threes, a guy that's going to be the all-time three-point leader when it's all said and done, likely by a mile. So like I said, I kept my feet down, kept them moving. Maybe might have blacked out a little bit. But, no, and then also, I did the stupid thing of letting him get the ball back from Draymond.
I know, deny.
Yeah, deny it back, and that was one of our game plans. We went over that play, hundreds of times because we went to 7 games and through our walkthroughs and through film. But I was able to keep my feet down, and thankfully, he missed it because he's made that shot over and over again, and he will continue to.
Thank y'all for showing that, because we always hear LeBron say, Cleveland, this is for you.
Right.
But he actually had the stout play at the end.
That was the big play. One final thing before we let you go. I was so impressed, and I know I'm not alone, when you courageously came out and talked a little bit about your battle with depression. And that's something that I've said many times on this show, that I think the more, I hate using this phrase, but the more that macho guys, you know, athletes are willing to talk about that kind of stuff, I think that makes a bigger impact than anyone else possibly can in this circumstance. I'm curious to know what reaction you have received directly as a result of being as open with that.
Well,
as
I
you've
think
been.
more than any time in my career, you know, it's bigger than basketball. I would say, you know, heading into my 11th year, being a veteran in this league, this is the moment and this is the topic that more people have come up to me and talked to me about. I mean, you mentioned before we got on 30 years of therapy and dealing with what a lot of people in this world, without a lot of people knowing, are dealing with. I mean, whether it be mental health issues like anxiety or depression and so on and so forth. So it's something that, you know, I'm going to continue to work with. I feel like I've found my life work, and even today I just announced that I'm starting my Kevin Love Fund, and I'm going to work with you know, many people from you know, all different socioeconomic status, sexual preference, and like it just doesn't discriminate. I think that's the biggest thing. So as I mentioned in my Players Tribune article, everybody is going through something that we can't see. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But as I mentioned, it's life work, and I think we're going to be able to help a lot of people. Good for you. Of all that you could win 10 championships, nothing is going to be more important than that. Again, the new line, Banana Republic, available now. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Kevin Love, everybody. Thank you. Wonderful to have him here. Kevin Love, Cleveland Cavaliers.